Hi, welcome to the Oregon Fan Show, the podcast where we talk to Duck fans and college football experts about the things that make us want to shout. Our
Mhm.
guest this morning is J.R. Rice. J.R., how are you?
Doing very well. How are you guys?
Now, it's amazing to me, J.R. I just reached out to you because I liked your stuff on Twitter. But
Uh-huh.
I just found out moments ago that you're a former D1 football player at Colorado.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's back when it was the Big Eight. This years ago. I'm aging myself there.
All right. What years
Yeah.
did you play and who did you play for?
Well, 92 to 96. If I was being smart, I would say 96 and a half. Because my going into my senior year, Bill McCartney, a legendary. So at that point, I make some tough decisions. But yeah, so those are my years there. So I was there with Rashawn Shalom, who was a Heisman Trophy winner. Chris Hudson won the Thorpe there. Uh, I think Mike Westbrook, those squads, Ted Johnson, Matt Russell. So
You played with some dudes.
yeah, those are legendary teams. And I have to say, like, the reason I coach now is I believe that I was a grinder. I was never that finger of God talent, but I worked really hard. So I landed at Colorado in a very, very good time to learn from some great guys.
Yeah, I mean, Bill McCartney's a legend, right?
Yes, yes, sir. We we
What
we lost him a few years back, but he was as much a dad to a lot of us as a coach. I'll put it that way.
Talk a little bit about that, JR. Is his coaching style affected yours?
Absolutely. I mean, I think as of now, I do more strength and speed and conditioning coaching. But I'll give you an example. Um, Not only him, both of them have passed away, but the strength coach back then was EJ Doc Crease, who also spent some time at UCLA back in the day. But both of them played a father role with me. And like, I know Mac used to have moments he would give all of us, 15, 20 minutes every semester to sit down. He would command you to have conversations with him that had nothing to do with football. He said, you get 15 minutes with me, and we call them Mac moments. And he would not talk football. He'd talk life with you.
Hmm.
And then I think Doc was my mentor, who's a strength coach back then, and how I train today, which is I really am personal with my athletes, on and off the field of play.
You can't Dan Lanning did a thing the other day that there was a video that came out from the Oregon video team, and he's up in
Hmm.
front of the guys before a practice doing a presentation. He's a
Hmm.
great motivator. And one of the things he said, JR, is, "Do I have your permission to coach you? Raise your hand."
Right.
Every player in the room raised their hand, but he said at the time, "I need your permission to coach you because I'm going to
Yeah.
coach you hard."
Yeah. Yep. Yep. It's funny. I think that has to be said out loud now. I think back in my day, before my day, I think it was organic to want to learn. It was organic to want to be coached, and I think there's so many distractions now, particularly in college football level, um, that these kids, you know, they're not kids anymore. They're not coachable for the most part. I mean, I didn't see the clip, but in my day, that statement would have been sarcasm. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like to ask a kid, "Can I coach you?" would have been sarcastic. We were there. A lot of us were inner city kids. We were there because, without that opportunity, we don't survive. So we were there hungry. These kids now are. It's hard to coach because and I was sharing this with a client the other day, and I want you to remember the name Joshua Bacon, by the way. I'm sharing this with a young kid who's a 6'3", 299-pound 12-year-old.
Whoa.
Finger of God talent written all over him, right? And he asked me the other day, he's like, well, what's the most important thing for me to understand if I want to go far in football? I said, to understand that humility leads the way. Like if you want to be great, you have to learn. And that the example that I gave him is like, everything these kids have now is instant gratification. If they want entertainment, they push a button. They want to watch clothes, they push a button, right? They if they want to get a homework assignment done, push a button. Start a car, push a button. And then somebody says, hey, you want to go to the NFL? See, there's no button to push. So their entire life is getting things quick, instant. And in our day, it wasn't there. So for a coach to develop you over time and be patient with you, that was just part of life. Now it's a shock. Most of these kids that are sitting in the room with a guy for 4 years to learn the game.
It takes a different mindset to realize that finger of God talent.
Yeah, yeah, yep, yep. Oh yeah,
How do
I
you,
agree.
JR, how do you instill that desire and that focus and that discipline in a student?
You have to point them backwards. I think in our era we had guys that we could look up to, um, that were not just athletes. They were high character guys you wanted to be. And I find myself now that it's difficult to find those guys. So a lot of time I'm training young athletes, regardless of age and stage of the game, I'm going to point them back, look back at so-and-so, look back in the past. Because to me, it's the only way you're going to learn the most is look into the past of the game. Um, like you think about it now, if we were 1970, 1980s, 1990s, look how many people we had in NFL character-wise we can look up to. Now, I'm saying something that might cut a few throats, but think about it for a second. Right
Okay.
now, who's the first name that crosses your mind in the present? I'm going to tell my 14-year-old kid to look up to blankety blank and learn. That's hard, isn't it? But I can point back to Tom Brady. I can point back to Reggie White. I can point back to certain people learning a work ethic, perseverance, because the reason I put my sons in the game was not about sports. It was character development. And what I look at sometimes a whole bunch of why I put them in the game is no longer in the game. So when I taught them the game, I had to point them back, to the older fellas.
And you mentioned some of your favorite examples.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mine would be Jerry Rice,
Yep,
Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant.
exactly.
The
Yep,
guys had that finger of God talent you're talking about, but they had drive and
yep,
discipline and an understanding of the process.
yep, yep, yep. I mean, with the talent and still working. Still, that's hard to find.
It's that mesh that makes it really work.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I was telling someone one day, I trained a young basketball player down here in Tennessee as well, and I gave him the example. I said, John Stockton, decent talent, you know, uh, great work ethic. Pointing him back to John Stockton, I said, Allen Iverson, a lot of talent, but and then I said Michael Jordan, right? Here's a guy who had the talent and the work ethic, and that's difficult. But like I said, that's hard to convey in the modern day with young athletes because I said everything is so instant. Those guys became those, who they were over time. Patient process. It's rare to find a kid, these days that's willing to do that.
Michael Jordan got cut as a sophomore.
Yep, he sure did.
Yeah.
Sure did. And the fact that Jerry Rice that had no D1 offers ended up at
There you
Mississippi Valley State. Imagine the day if someone had Jerry's talent and someone told them, "Hey, the only offer you have Mississippi Valley State," and there's no NIL money, right? Do you think that kid would go? You follow?
or
But
work hard enough to become Jerry Rice.
that's right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
absolutely right. Yep.
Another thing, I don't know if it comes up with the guys you coach, but another
Mhm.
challenge of it right now is these guys are told from the time they're 12 years old how great they are and what
Exactly.
a rep they have and how they'll be four-star players and they'll get $1 million NIL deals.
Yeah. Yep,
There,
yep. That's something I'm talking now. I've said this to all my kids. I don't say it to every kid. But speaking of the NIL thing, is that part of the reason that I think we're getting what we're getting right now is because, as you just said, we're telling people they're great before they're great. I don't believe in any of it. I mean, I'm very honest with you. I don't believe in the star system. And I think it was Nick Saban that said this. I get a bunch of these 5-star kids that show up and they don't even twinkle one star. You know, hearing, like you said, I agree with you. Hearing too early that you're great. Now, why would I work? Having somebody hand you a $5 million check before you even touch the football field or basketball court in college. Why would I work? Right. So I think if there's not some regulation set up now, we're going to lose the quality of the game. We're going to lose the character of the game in time. Let's go. 10 minutes.
the stars, I mean, it's great to accomplish that, to reach that level of attention. But the stars
Right.
have got to be dropped at the door the day you come to
Exactly.
campus.
Yep. Exactly. Because I remember playing with those guys. I mean, it's some amazing guys. I remember we all came in with our all-state hats and, all-American jackets. And the second day in camp, we're all in white T-shirts. That was on purpose. It was to say, hey, I'm glad you were great in high school, but now I think a lot of these kids now believe that those stars mean I'm gonna walk into college and I'm the great in college, and that's why I think we're seeing what we're seeing as far as the integrity of the game now, or the quality of the play.
JR, do you follow Colorado football at all? Do you maintain any kind of connection to
Yes,
Deion and the program now?
I have not physically, because a part of the regime that was there in the beginning when Deion arrived, I was familiar with. For instance, Darian Hagan, who was the quarterback of the championship team with Eric Bieniemy before I arrived. I said the '89 and '90 squad. He was on Deion's staff then, but I think since some of those guys left and the staff has kind of revolutionized, I'm not as connected, but I am connected to the program. I stay following it.
What do you think about the way he's going about reestablishing the greatness of Colorado football?
I'm glad they're giving him time, and this I'm just being very very frank. I think people forget that what you know McCartney did was over a decade. It took a decade to get from a losing program to back to back championship opportunities against Notre Dame. And then my years there, where we were in a Cotton Bowl, a Fiesta Bowl, and Aloha Bowl, et cetera, and being top 10 every year, that took time. And I think since moving forward, it just seems like the program is time. He's going to do great.
They've had some bumps in the road these first couple of years, but some real highlights
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
You've
Yeah.
got,
Agreed.
what do you
Yeah. I mean,
think is,
I agree with that.
okay. JR, what do you think his biggest strength is as a coach?
I think the relationships. The first thing he did when he arrived in Boulder was to meet all the local business people. Got familiar with the town, and I think they're willing, because of the relationships that he built initially. They're willing to be patient with the process. Um, I think the hard part is Dion is an old school um, approach to recruiting. He doesn't just get great athletes; he's grabbing great guys. And sometimes, rather than grabbing the next 19 5-stars, he'd rather grab some 2 and 4 that are willing to be coached. Um, you know, um, I think also about the Clemson situation. Clemson's not really going to the portal a lot. These are old school guys. And I believe in time, that patient process is going to overwhelm some of this, overnight success, you know, um, because you want to build a program deep. You're not just building a team, you're building a program. That's what I think he's doing.
It's really important, that program and culture building.
Yep. Yep.
One of the
Yep.
criticism.
I think like, yeah. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead. You're the star.
No, I remember walking into Colorado when it was a machine, which is why I think, I was just a cog in the wheel. I mean, it was a machine when I arrived, and it wasn't just the weight room or the facilities and so on and so forth. Um, it was known if you walk through those doors, excellence was expected, and to me, that's what Deion is doing. Is he's setting that, and if you look at some of the turnover, a lot of guys who've left that program have left because I'm just very frank, they can't hold to the standard. He's very open about it. He's extremely open about it. So, but as my daddy used to say, you can't get a plant to grow until you prune it. You know, and I think after McCartney left, there was just an expectation of winning without the work, and I think
Mm.
he's instilling that work ethic again.
Well, I hope he succeeds because, face it, Dion is good for college football. I mean, he creates excitement. When Shadur and Travis Hunter were there, they had, they were drawing 10, 20 million viewers to a football game and creating a lot of energy. The one criticism that I would have lies in your area of expertise. I don't think the Colorado team is strong enough. I don't think they're training as hard as maybe they could be.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about what was happening in that regard, because that's what I do for a living now. I'm a strength conditioning coach. Um, I don't know what's happening. I do when I watch the games. I remember the Colorado dominance. Sometimes it's tough to watch, but again, you think about it. If you have the portal open, and say 2/3 of your team is from the portal, you don't know what kind of conditioning they were in at their last program. And unlike the old days where you had 3 or 4 years to build a kid's body, he has to walk in the door ready now. So you really can't point at any strength program in the country and go, hey, man, they really developed great kids, because you don't know where the kid was 6 months ago. So it's real tough for these strength coaches out there to build any kid. Even the teams that are winning, I look at Indiana last year. A lot of that was, hey, man, they had older, bigger, more experienced kids, and they won a championship. It is what it is. Bigger, stronger. But the thing about the average program, time had to work with via
That
the portal.
Indiana that that Indiana team had so much maturity, commitment, discipline, and execution.
Yeah, yeah. I have. That was a shock to me. I think when they hit the playoffs, I watched some of their games. I knew they were a good team. But what they did in the playoff, that was dominance, pure dominance. And you can watch them wear teams down. That's how I know when it's the weight room. When it's close in the first, second quarter, all of a sudden the other team fades. You got a lot of older, stronger guys, man. And in my opinion, that was basically an NFL team with a college logo. You know.
They were as old as the Packers. Kurt Cignati does such a
Yep.
tremendous job of evaluating guys who fit his system and have the right work ethic and approach.
Right. Yeah. 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 And well, if you look at his top line in coaching, you know where it came from, right?
Yeah, Nick Saban, he's from that tradition. Became an
Yeah.
overnight success at 66 years old. Now we're having a little bit of audio trouble. I don't know what it is. I wish I knew how to fix it because you're really laying down some great stuff.
Yeah.
You have
Well,
two sons who are playing D1 football.
okay. Well, I have one that's a redshirt freshman now at Louisville by the name of Micah Rice. He was the fourth star out of high school. And as a dad, I told him, I said, raise those stars, man. That's my opinion. I said, what's your goal is to go to the NFL? I said, well, you got to race all of that. So my son followed Smith Benjamin. He'll be playing for Jerry Macklin in St. Louis, Missouri, at Kirkwood High School this his senior year. He spent time more with my grandfather his senior year. I mean, my dad, his grandfather. So he's committed verbally to Missouri State. But there's some other schools coming down the pipeline. I have two in the nest down here with me in Alcoa, Tennessee. And Alcoa right now holds a national record for state championships. They have 11 in a row.
That's impressive. That's awesome. And then you have, I think you told me, 3 sons that are in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, both retired. My sons, David and James, were both serving in the Marines. They're both retired Marines now. So yeah, there's 6 Rice boys.
Well, that's tremendous. I'm sure you're proud of all of them, and thank you for their service.
Yes. Yeah, I appreciate that. I let them know.
There is more than one way to be a 4-star at life and to achieve your goals. I love that your sons took their own different path.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're a family of faith, and I told them all from birth. One of the unique things about our family is that we homeschooled all of our kids up until high school to build their foundation. But we said, hey, we're handing you the tools, and you choose your own path. I think we built a foundation for all of them that they can make decisions. We know it's going to be the right decision. We're not all clones. I told them you guys don't have to do it, but if you can get that tool in your back pocket, go ahead and use it.
Well, that's outstanding. It's great to get to the place in your life where your kids are developing their own identity and their own purpose, and they're still leaning into the things that you sought to instill in them.
Yes, and kids are not perfect. My wife and I were talking a few weeks ago about this, about how all the decisions have not been perfect decisions. But there's an old proverb that says, train up a child where they should go. When they're old, they won't depart from it. And that's meaning basically they won't waver far off the course because you lay the foundation. I think right now, it's kind of what I'm saying about the sport of football is we're not giving coaches and parents and recruiters and anyone a chance to build these kids anymore. Therefore, they're riding on talent, riding on opportunity, they're riding on money. All these things will go one day. But are you spiritually, mentally, and physically sound? You have a foundation for the two to stand on. And that's what we focus on with our kids. Sports was in the periphery. The foundation is your faith and your future family. So,
Well, JR, it has been wonderful to get to meet you. Please tell folks how they can reach you or contact you or tap into your expertise.
well, right now I'm physically residing in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm contracted with a company called D1. So we're at D1 Smoky Mountains, which is in Sevierville, a suburb of Knoxville. But my personal company is called Break the Wheel, like WHEEL. BreakTheWheelFitness.com is the website. And I train people in person here, but I have virtual clients on both coasts. I spent all those years in LA, so I still have clients back there. If you go on the website, you get all my information. It's BreakTheWheelFitness.com.
Well, I'm very appreciative of your time and your knowledge and your expertise and your genuineness. And I hope we can have you on again, maybe with a little better audio connection. Thanks so much for visiting the Oregon Fan Show. We appreciate you and have a great day.
All right, you too.